Alright, welcome to a video for the elementary surveying class. We're going to go over what goes into the field notebook. And the field notebook that you can buy at the bookstore is the one that's right here. So Right in the Rain, All Weather Transit, number 303. I'm going to explain some of the details to it and then how to get you started and fill out the first couple pages here. And I've brought a couple different field notebooks with me so you can see them. This is the one that I use as the instructor. I'm going to open a new one up that I'm going to do some more stuff with this year. By opening, I mean start a new notebook. But we're going to talk about these. The back is shows you this. This is the part number for it. Our item number is this ISBN. The beauty of this book is it has a hard plastic cover. Let me zoom out a little bit on the camera here. It has a, not a hard plastic, but it has a durable plastic cover so it'll protect the pages. And then there is somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 or 40, well 60 pages actually, but we're going to call them 30 pages in here. And the simple process is everything that's going to go in this notebook becomes a permanent record. So this is what you're getting your grade for the laboratory exercises graded upon. You'll turn these in at the end of the surveying lab. Sometimes Mr. Ryder and I will allow you an extra day to turn them in, but they have to be in, they have to be evaluated by us, and then they'll be turned back to you at the next lab, and the grading procedures in there. Grading procedures actually in the lab manual. We'll go over that in a separate one, but there's things that when you buy this on the first class, first lab period on Thursday, I want you to be ready to go with this. So I don't want to spend all day having you fill out the notebook. Okay? Alright, so the very first thing that happens on this, and this is the only time you'll actually touch this field notebook with a pen or a marker. Everything else will be done in pencil. And to be specific, there will be no erasing in this notebook. We'll talk about that as we go on. So what you start with is on the front cover, you put Cons 101. There's only one lab section, so you don't have to worry about the lab section that goes with this. I use instructor here, but what you're going to put down is a party number. And I'm going to show you one of the students in the past. Cons 101, Lab 001 is what there is, so it's only the one. He was a member of Party 3. This is the name of the individual. And then there's information here about where he lives. Ideally, what we really want on this is Cons 101, lab section. If there's more than one lab section, don't have to worry about that this year. Your party number, okay, the name of who you are. In this case, it's me as Newtown M, and labeled professional engineer, and fall of 2024, so that we know which lab book we're grabbing. Ideally, at the end of the semester, you want these back, and you can keep these and hold on to them. Inside the front cover, there's a little more details. You can fill out some stuff that's related to that and put the details down. I'll show you another example here. This was another one of our fine students. Olivia wrote down which residence hall she's in and a phone number in case the book gets lost. We can get it back to you, or someone can get it back to you. Okay. All right. So that's that. Now let me explain a few things. So there is a table of contents in the book already. We will not use this page. So when you see this, we're just going to skip it and not use it. I'll show you why. But what we're going to do is the next page over, we're going to write this page intentionally left blank. Okay, and I'll explain why here in a minute. We don't like the standard one as part of our practices here at SUNY Canton. And the surveying industry will have more details than what's available just for the table of contents. Little side note, these books do make great places if you're out in the field to keep notes for all kinds of things. So someday if you're in a hydraulics class or a hydrology class with Dr. Regal and you get a field notebook, you can write down what you've been doing when you're out in the field with her. Alright, so anyways, the original table of contents and the page to the right of it, we're going to leave blank. And then this one, we're just going to write down this page intentionally left blank. Alright, table of contents, though, is going to start on this page. Alright, and I'm going to switch over to the new notebook that I'm going to run so you can see it a little clearer without all the other stuff on it. But we are going to put table of contents across the top. We're going to put page number. We're going to put project number, date. Project title will be these three boxes here, so all the way over across here. On the right-hand side of the page, we're going to put remarks, so you can write remarks out here. And then, if you like, you can use a lowercase Roman 1, which looks like a little I, to mark the first page. Okay. Now, let's have a little discussion here about pages. Okay. Matter of fact, maybe what I'll do is come forward a few pages here and show you. So when I set this up, this is going to be, I'm going to lay this out for the very first lab so you have some idea what this looks like when you get to the field. But this set of this left-hand side and this right-hand side is page number 1. It takes both pages to make one page in these books. Okay, so we're going to put a Arabic numeral 1 up here, and I'm using the Roman numeraling system back previous in the table of contents pages. Now, this particular book that I have here has 80 pages, so it's actually 120 sheets. No, sorry, 160 sheets. And we will have this for a lot of reasons, so that's why I've chosen to switch to a new book. But you're going to put this stuff down. So remember, left and right makes one page, and there's no way to get around that. You can't go page 1 over here and page 2 over here. Okay, that's just not how that works. All right. Cool. Alright, so when we do the table of contents, we're leaving the page blank and we're coming over here and filling in stuff. When we do this, we're going to, I'm going to use 2 examples here at once if I can do this. We're going to put down on page 1, project number 1. Okay. And the date, I'm going to leave blank because that's going to be, well, I can tell you the date. It's going to be next Thursday, which will be the 21st of September. Okay, so I'll fill that in. So we're going to do 21st of August, 8. We're going to put a slash in, 21 / 25. Okay, and it is going to be level loop 1. Okay, and if I had remarks about what the level loop was, I would come over here. So literally a remark here will be located east side of Neville Dine Hall. Okay, so you can use the remarks to locate where your surveying project is and what you're doing. All right. And then the next one we'll do, we'll actually try, if you can do this right, you can do it a couple ways. let me show you back to Finn's notebook here for a second. He lays it out with leaving a space between each one. Okay. If I come back over to Olivia's notebook, she's able to keep it neat and use every line. Okay. We'll talk a little bit about how to write here in a minute, and I'm going to do that in another page, but I want to just show you that. So ideally in this, in my style, I will do page 2 will be the next lab, or whatever number of pages I'm on. Project number 2, I'll use the next line down. It's a matter of keeping yourself neat and writing appropriately. So let me slide this book out of the way and use some paper in this one. And I'll show you here. So when you write, we're going to use a special format of writing. But I want you to think about, you have this whole box right here to play in. But I want to keep the letters small enough that I use half the box. Okay. By the way, we're going to require you to use a mechanical pencil, 0.5 millimeters, and legally you should use this with a 3H or hard lead number 3 or hard lead number 4. So 3H or 4H. I'll go over that in class when we get to that part. But then I'm going to put in, so this would have been the page. This will be, let's say, I'm just going to write a U here. Okay, so this would be page or 0.1 letter U, and it's all small and half the scale. I don't want your writing like this, even though it looks neater and bolder. Problem is, if you have to make a mistake, all you can do is one single line cross out, and you're going to put in, let's say it's a W now, above it. Where if I do U in this space, this size, and I have to cross it out, then I can do a W right above it. Okay? And so we want to keep it small. So if you get really fat and you get really happy and you're trying to, you know, put a B in here, all right, you really can't cross that out and have someplace else to put a letter. Okay, and that causes problems. Okay, so keep that in mind as you're doing this. All right. Cool. Now where am I here? Table of contents, level loop 1. All right. So I got my information in on my table of contents page. I got the remarks, so I know roughly where I am doing this project at and where I'm going to be doing that stuff. And by the way, we're going to leave at least 3 pages. Okay. And the reason is you will make a mistake and you'll want to transcribe them over to another page. All right. And we'll talk about how to make that a page go away, but we literally have a legal document here, so we can't just throw them out and start over again. Okay. In this particular book, I went to Roman numeral 4. I'm figuring I'm going to have a lot more stuff written in this than you guys will. Okay. If I pull up Finn's book, here's one where he started his table of contents and didn't like it after he got down to project number 7, so he voided it all out, and that's the way to make a note that we're changing this. It's voided. Okay, and then he came over to here and rewrote them all. All right, so he had them all in a more neater listing. Okay, so that's how you do that. Now notice, didn't use a Roman numeral, lowercase Roman numeral letters up here, or numbers. That's fine. Table of contents usually aren't labeled. Professionally, you just got to develop your habit and make sure that you do something that is standard, so lawyers won't have any fun with you when you're doing this. Okay. All right. So I am going to First lab. Okay, so this is on page 1. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to write the level loop lab in here, and I'm looking for my data. Okay, so we are going to do on the right hand side of page 1, we're going to put level loop page 1. Okay, oh, by the way, speaking of the lead, so I told you we usually want to write with a hard lead. Mr. Ryder and I are getting old, and our eyes are not what they used to be. If you ever write with a hard pencil lead, you have to push really hard to make it dark. It's easier on us if we let you use HB lead to do it. Problem with HB lead is it'll have a tendency to smear, so we don't want to do that. Okay. Alright, so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you stations, and I'm going to draw a map for you so you know what you're looking at. But we're going to do station Z. I make my Z's with a little line through it so it doesn't look like it's a 2. Nothing in the back sighting, nothing in the instrument height, but we are going all the way over to elevation. That's what ELEV stands for. And we're just going to assume it's 100 feet. Okay? And we're going to put it down as 100.0. And we'll go over the details of that later. Okay? So don't panic. When we're all said and done, we'll just keep going down through this. So that's our first station. Now let's have a little exercise here in what the layout of this lab looks like and where you're doing it. Okay. So when we do this, we're going to take the right-hand side of this notebook and we're going to use it to create our sketch. But there's a few things we have to put in here first. Okay, so in the top right-hand corner of this, we're actually going to put down where we're at, the date, the weather condition and temperature, and who's in the party. Okay, so I'll show you one with I'll show you this one. Every right-hand side of the page will come with who you're doing it for, basically your company name, the date it happens on, the temperature was 75 degrees. What's missing here in this particular one is I didn't write down that it was sunny, but I do remember it was sunny. But here's the problem. We don't want to have to remember it was sunny. We want to know it was sunny. So this would be, and why do we care if it's sunny? Well, instruments have a tendency to expand and contract based on temperature. We have the glare you got to deal with and the optics and that sort of stuff. Alright, in this particular party there was J. Robertson, A. Medina, and H. Nichols. And they were, this was chaining lab number 2. Okay, so that's, or not chaining, this is chain number 2 that they used. So the instrument. Okay, so those are the things you're going to put in the top right hand corner. I'm going to leave this section blank other than I'm going to put SUNY Canton in here, and I know it's going to be 821, 25. Leave a line blank for temperature, and then the party that goes down with it. Okay, and right in here, I want to write the instrument that I'm surveying with. Alright, so I'll know that when I actually draw the instrument out. But write the instrument number down so that you know to go back and use the same instrument. Okay, talk about the details on that later too. Alright, so in this picture, we're going to draw and sketch our building. Okay, now we got all this space over here to the right to play with, but it's nice if you can keep it within this, because if you have comments or remarks or calculations to do, you can do it in this section here. So I'm going to take this little orange line in here and make that my dividing. Okay, so the sketch should be fairly decent, but something that represents what you're doing. Okay, so I'm going to turn the the notebook here for a second so I can draw a straight line. Small ruler will work. I've seen students use their ID card, but we're going to start down here. So we have a pump house right here that we're going to be doing. Okay, we got a little apron out in front of this, and we have a sidewalk that comes down through here like so. Okay, and that sidewalk is part of the building, so I'm going to draw the building here, and then we turn the building and go north. Okay, and up here we're going to turn and go back east, or I'm sorry, west. Okay, and then you're going to turn and go north again. Okay, we don't have to draw the whole building and sketch it out, but it's just going to be part of it. But we know there is a set of doors here, so I'm going to draw a set of doors so we know what that looks like. And we have a set of stairs here. So we're going to do that. And then we have a sidewalk that goes up through here. Okay, and we have some points along here, and we're going to be able to label these points here in a minute. Down here on this end, we have a little bit of the sidewalk that juts out for a curb. Does this, and then goes straight up along through here for the parking area. Okay, and then this curves back into a sidewalk that goes down towards Newell Hall, and I'm going to draw that in here, and that's what this looks like. Okay, so this is the building, so this would be a good idea to label this. So I'm going to write in sorry, you can't see what I'm writing. Neville-Dine Hall. Okay, and that's going to represent this part of the building. Okay, we got a parking lot here, and this parking lot does a few odd things. There's a piece of grass here. It comes over, comes back, and comes down, and then runs all the way down through to here, and then there's a drive. Okay, and then this comes out to what's called the outer loop. So I'm going to draw that out here, and I'm going to mark this outer loop. Okay, now that's important to know because we got a few things that we're going to have to find here. And I also know that there is a culvert here that we're going to deal with. So I'm going to put those two little symbols in and draw this in. And it's going to be part of, sorry, you can't see that. I'm going to put the outer loop here, and then I'm going to put two little symbols here to represent the culvert that goes under the road. Okay? And this will form into this. Alright. So we have a couple points here, so let's see if I can hit all these points, all right, and show you where they are. So on this corner of the apron here, this is point Z. Okay, we have a point V. That's not right. Point V is way up there. Well, what's this? Oh, this is the, all right, tripod. We have a point T down here, which is actually located right there on the invert of the culvert. Don't panic. We'll explain all that later. All right, we have a light pole over here. This is X. Then we have another light pole up here. This is W. Then we have one over here, and this is on a manhole, and this is called V. And then we have, at this corner right here, we have U. All right. Now, a couple of things we can do here. We want to know some places to do this in. Well, if I draw this symbol, and I draw it like this, that's going to represent my surveying instrument, and then you'll be able to use that to reference all your points. Okay? And I got to do some drawing here on another thing to explain backsight and foreshot, and we'll talk about that. But ideally, those are my points. All right. So I missed point Y. Where'd Y go? Oh, this is not T. This is Y. So here's a chance for me to cross out one line through. This is point Y. U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Okay, 5 points. We're good. It's not T. It's a Y. All right. So at this point, we're going to shoot to here. Okay. And point Z I've already determined is 100.0 feet. It's not really what it is. It's 441 something feet. But right for today, we're just going to do that as 100. Okay. And I'm going to take a shot from there, and then I'm going to take a shot to Y here. And then I'm going to spin the instrument around and take a shot to X. But we also have lots of things we can do with this. I could put the instrument right here, all right, and then we'll take a back shot from here to Z. This will be the back shot, or back sighting, not back shot. And then from there I will shoot to Y, and that'll be my foresight, okay? Which is why we have backsight, foresight, and what we're trying to do is determine the height of the instrument, okay? So hang on here for a slight rocky little ride. We're going to use a level rod to measure the height above the ground, but what we're really interested in is we're moving the instrument around. We want to know that height. So this will wind up being something like 2.66 feet. Okay. We take the 100 plus, which is why I put the plus up here, 2.66, and that gives me an instrument height of 102.66. Okay. Now when I go to move to point Y, here I'm going to go fill out the foresight. Okay. And whatever my reading is at the foresight, that'll give me a new elevation. Okay. So my foresight for this one, and all your numbers will be different than mine, so don't try to copy these numbers down, will be 9.02 feet, okay, above the line of sight of the instrument to the level rod. Okay. The 102.66 minus the 902 will give me 93.64 feet. Okay. Now, if I made a mistake in this, and I'll show you the one where I'm copying this numbers from. Mistake was made. They said 3.13, but it turned out to be 2.66. You can see they can cross that out, write it above it, and cross this out and write it above it, and then we still have a very good legal document. And no one's going to say, well, you erased those numbers. Why'd you do that? Okay. That's how we fill this out. All right. The next point we're going to shoot from, so Y was here. We're going to turn and shoot to X. So it could mean I move my instrument over. So I'm going to take a sight to here and a sight to there. Now, sight to a known point is your back sight. Sight to an unknown point is your foresight. Okay? So as we do this, we are going to take a sight back to here, and in this particular case we have a back sight of 9.00 feet. Okay? And we take the elevation of the last known point, 93.64, plus the 9 here, and we wind up with 102.64, which literally means our elevation dropped by 2/100ths of a foot. Okay, and by the way, we're doing all this in decimals. But then I take a foresight from my instrument over to X, and that's where I'm going to start writing that down. So I have to put an X on this line. Okay, and I'm looking at 10.52, and then I take my instrument height minus my foresight, and this is going to become 92.12. Okay, and the whole goal of this is when we get done shooting all these different points and we come back to Z to verify we wind up back at 100, or we call closing the loop, we zero and make sure we didn't have any error along the way. Okay, and you'll get graded based on that error, and we'll talk about that too when we start the lab. Okay, well, that's the start of a field notebook, and what I wanted to do is get you started on filling out the table of contents and enough progress towards getting the header on for the first lap. Okay. Oh, and by the way, so I can write in here on this side, I know Z, this was the, what do I call that? Apron. Yeah, this is the apron of, I'm going to use the word gen shed. And it's okay to abbreviate as long as you know what they mean. Alright, but there's a generator shed right there that houses the generator for it. Okay. Y, this is going to be the invert of road culvert. Okay, and then you just keep doing that. And this one on X, this is a light pole. That way, if you ever have to go back and prove what you did, you know why you did it, you know where you did it to. Okay, so that's probably a long-winded video of 30 minutes that will get you started, and we'll do this explanation a little more rapidly during the lab period, but I want to give it to you so you know what you're doing ahead of time. All right, thank you much.